I have to do it. Absolutely. Well, I did the police. I started the show with the police, but I told everybody y'all were coming in. I'm really pleased to have in studio with me Chief Toby Aguillard. First time at the Ross Report. I'm so excited about that. Scott Rummel. Scott's a veteran. He's been here before talking about the issues. And I really appreciate you coming in, Chief, because
I appreciate the opportunity, Carol. And first, let me just say thanks to everything you do for the community. You know, I listen to your show quite often. A big fan. I appreciate your listeners. I believe this is one of the great things about America, is the fact that we have shows like
freedom
yours.
of speech.
Absolutely.
I know sometimes people don't like it, but that's okay.
But thank you for this opportunity.
Well, I'm glad you're here because I want to tell you, I read this resolution and I was blown away. So I want you to explain to the people exactly what you're asking for.
Well, we're asking the City Parish Council and the administration to consider making police pay a priority. And that's simply, that's the basis of all of it, right? We want to go to the state legislature this spring.
Yeah, it would require enabling legislation,
That's right. That's right. And we hope to get legislation that will mandate a 2% raise for the employees of Lafayette PD by the state legislature. Now, this is something that other agencies have done in the past, so we're not reinventing the wheel.
The fire department has been doing this forever.
Right. Fire department's had it since the 60s.
Right.
So it's not reinventing the wheel, but it's something that the police have been left out over the years, and Lafayette PD is out now asking for that. And in order, before we go to our legislature, we're asking our city parish council to consider supporting it.
A show of support.
That's right, in the form of a resolution, and that's what's coming up Tuesday.
All right. The thing that I like about this, I don't know who put this together for you, but they were smart. They were very smart.
We want to be fair.
It is not a tax increase.
No, it's not.
It is simply an allocation of resources to the basic function of government, which is public safety.
Right. Carol, what we're asking to do is to take a look at the previous fiscal year and where there's been an increase in revenue from the previous fiscal year. Those next years would trigger our 2% pay raise. When we have a downturn in the economy, the police are not looking to hurt the city of Lafayette. And so we understand that. And so this is included in this bill. Only where there's an increase in revenue will we expect a 2% mandate to be enacted.
So an increase of 3% in the sales tax.
That's correct.
Would allow the increase in the pay.
That's right.
The following year.
That's right.
Okay. If there's a downturn, if there's not a 3% increase,
then it doesn't apply that year.
Okay. So if it's something, let's say if it's 1.5% increase, it doesn't apply.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
so
right.
It has to be a 3% increase in sales tax collection.
That's right. I mean, we're members of this city too, right? We know, the economy hadn't been the greatest lately. We understand that. But we're asking that when the economy does show signs of improvement and the revenues are up, that the police department's pay be prioritized. And I don't think that's too much to ask, particularly coming from, I've been chief now for a little over a couple years. The people in this city are so appreciative and so supportive of us.
Yes.
I think that, and overwhelmingly so, Carol. Nearly every day, someone thanks me for service.
I want to tell you this really caught my eye because that it is for the first time ever that I can imagine, it's pegged to some market forces.
Right.
In other words, if you have a downturn, you're not going to get the pay raise. How does that affect you actuarially? I mean, the accountants, does that drive them crazy, or because they're going to have to be on top of this?
Well, believe me, we'll be on top of it as well. We're just simply not looking to break the bank, and we do not want to raise taxes.
Right.
That's not what this is about. This is simply saying, look, in the years when we're seeing an upturn in economy, those years the mandate would apply. And that's when I'm saying what we're doing is prioritizing police pay. And I think it's something that people can live with. And I think our community would appreciate it. I know our officers deserve it and would appreciate it as well.
Is it just for uniformed officers?
It's for every employee at Lafayette
in the
PD.
Police Department.
Yes. We need them all.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone plays a role
staff.
in our success.
Okay.
Everyone plays a role in our success.
Okay. Well, the resolution, I when I was reading it, I thought this is something I've never seen before, and I think it's really a great thing, and it really does. I think it makes the council really think about what is their primary function. I mean, and what is, as a government, what's the primary function? It is the public safety. It's the safety of its citizens.
That's correct.
And so I think this is an affirmation
Yes.
of that support.
Yes.
Yeah.
And listen, I've gone to the council several times with several different issues, and I've always gotten their support. Mm-hmm. And so, I have to thank the administration, I have to thank the council for the support they've given us. But here I am again. I'm never going to stop working for my guys, for the men and women of the Lafayette Police Department. And so here I am again, and I'm asking them to consider this resolution in support. And again, especially for your listeners, we're not asking to raise any taxes.
Exactly. That's the part that really caught my eye, and the fact that it's pegged to market fluctuations in the sales tax, which I think is really an important point to bring out. As you say, the fire department has had this for a long, long time.
Since the 60s.
And it's always amazed me that you all have not come before this, because I've been aware of that mandated increase for them.
Right.
Scott, your organization is also big time behind this, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you include mostly everybody in the police department,
that's
correct?
We have 90% of the uniformed officers in the police union, and we definitely support this. Several years ago, and I'm talking probably anywhere between 8 to 10 years now, we had something very close to this that we were working on presenting to City Council. And at that time, it just wasn't ready to take that step forward. So we kind of left it alone, and we tried to work with City Council on some other ways to get some raises.
Yeah.
And of course, everything that's happened over the last 2 years, there's been a lot of things that have come up. And I think that after the sheriff's tax failed in the support in that bombed, we needed to take a step back and refocus on how we could get what we wanted ultimately, which was better pay for our officers to be able to retain them at the Lafayette Police Department, and to be able to move forward and look like an attractive agency. Yeah. We're the fourth largest city in the state, and we're close to the fourth largest agency in the state. And we deal with real crimes every day. Yes. We nobody would sit up. I don't think the chief would tell you that we have 0 homicides in the city of Lafayette. We have them, but they're a low number compared to other municipalities our size. And that's because our officers are doing a great job out there. The Lafayette Police Department officers are out there every day, being proactive, patrolling the neighborhoods.
Well, I've told you before, it always amazes me how quickly some of those crimes get solved because of the communication between the community and the police.
Absolutely. Yes. I've said many times when I've been here that our community, and Chief echoed it just now, our community is one of the strongest when it comes to supporting their law enforcement officers. I can't think of anywhere I go when I'm in uniform where I don't get thanked or somebody buys me a cup of coffee that I don't ask for. And I appreciate it because, look, I mean, I enjoy my job. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. I enjoy going out there every day, interacting with people in the community day or night, and helping them with issues that they have.
You know, you mentioned the sheriff's tax briefly, and it really pained me. Typically, I support law enforcement, but I couldn't support that one because it was so broad and it was so never-ending. It was in perpetuity and all that. So I really appreciate the way this is structured. I really do. Now, I hope, has everything been healed between? I hope it doesn't cause any problems, the fact that his failed and
I don't think anything would affect anybody in the community. Yeah. I think law enforcement agencies, both of them, will continue to work together and move forward in the future.
That's great. I hope so. I know that in terms of homicide and that sort of thing, we don't have the problem that a lot of other municipalities have, but we have a lot of property crime, don't we?
Yes, we
do. Theft and robberies and thefts and all that kind of stuff. How do we guard against that? I mean, I see people leaving stuff in their cars and leaving their garage doors open, and they wonder why the bike was stolen, out of the garage and that kind of thing. There's some things you can tell people to just have a little common sense.
Please lock your car doors.
Lock your car doors.
Lock your car
doors. Hey, don't leave your gun in the car.
Remove your weapons if you can. Lock your car doors.
I hear that so many times. Oh, they stole my gun. Well, yeah, I bet they were looking for the gun.
Sure.
Actually,
and we get it, right? This is South Louisiana. Everybody's got a gun in their car somewhere, right. and understandably so. I get it, but you have to take those precautions in order to save your property, right. and that's the main thing. Don't give an opportunity for somebody who wants to do bad to have something to do bad with.
Yeah.
And that's you got to lock your doors and keep your stuff safe.
All right, can you stay over for one more segment?
Absolutely.
I want to talk about overall issues in Lafayette, and I got some crime stats off the website, and I want to talk about those things and how policing has changed and how you see it changing in the future.
Sure.
All right, we'll be right back on the Ross Report, 232-1542. If you want to get in on the conversation, don't go away. I was thinking about it. We are a small parish, really, geographically. And it would be great if, let's say, if we sent that message that not only the police, but the sheriffs and, everybody could get this kind of reinforcement, positive reinforcement for the deputies.
Right.
Do you see that ever happening?
Well, I know that I've talked to a number of our legislators. I've talked to a number of our lawmakers, city council members. Right. And I know that there has been some concerns about the Lafayette PD getting this 2%, particularly from Sheriff Garber. And I think, when we take a look at everything that's been happening, and I noticed that, Lafayette PD lost 28 officers last year, most of them leaving for higher pay, right. 7 of which went to the Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office. And I say, well, here we are. There is a certain amount of competition between all the agencies, right? And when I hear things that like the sheriff is working against this, then I say let's stop and take a look at this. Yeah. Why not put everyone on even keel? I'm with you.
Right.
I'm with you. Let's make every agency get a 2%, just like we have, and figure out a way to do it where we're not raising taxes. Karen Crow PD already has it in their ordinances. Yeah. Scott PD already has it in their ordinances.
Their starting pay is Karen Crow is higher.
Yeah, and much higher than Lafayette PD. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So wouldn't it be a great day if all of us in Lafayette Parish, all of our officers, all of our deputies could count on getting a 2% raise, minimal, every year? Wouldn't that be a great day if we could all work together towards that?
As long as it's pegged to that, like that. Yeah, like you said, that 3%.
Absolutely, right. We're not looking to break the bank. We're only looking to prioritize police pay when we can afford it.
Exactly. I look at some of the statistics. You all handle a massive majority of the calls that come in for service, correct?
Sure. Lafayette PD handles the majority.
Right. Compared to other agencies.
We're a big city.
Right.
We like to think of ourselves as a small town, but we're a big city.
Not anymore, yeah. Yeah, and we have all those problems that big cities have.
Sure we do.
So we were talking about the property theft, and that just amazes me how much of that we have, which is over the national average. Now, the homicide and that's below the national average from what I've been able to ascertain. But the other stuff is like slightly above the national average. And I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that. Yes. So that keeps you guys busy all the time.
It does. And there's a trend across the nation. It's not just with us, with breaking into vehicles. And we were talking about it in the last segment. But, really, Lafayette folks still think of themselves as small town folks in many ways. And that and our vehicles have become the low-hanging fruit of the burglar today. Yeah. And so really, we really need people to take hold of this and say, listen, I'm going to lock my cars at night, because it doesn't work every time, but 90% of the time, they're not going to break in. They're only going to go through the vehicles that are open.
Like you said, the low-hanging fruit.
That's right. And those things are what's driving up our statistics, those vehicle burglaries. That they play a big part of that.
I see that in the statistics. Do you use the ComStat figures to decide where the manpower should be?
That's correct. We do that once a week.
Person power. Should I say person power, right. Rob? Where the manpower should be.
That's up to you how PC you want to be.
Yeah, I'm not PC at all. Anybody who's listened to this show knows I am anti-PC. But anyway, that helps you to decide how to allocate the resources.
Absolutely. We meet once a week at the Lafayette Police Department. We have what's called ComStat meeting. It's all the office commanders, all the high-level officers, all the precinct captains and lieutenants. We all meet. It's formal. We're all in uniform, and we discuss the previous week's crimes and what we're going to do about them. Right. And we allocate manpower to that end. Yeah,
it amazes me what the great cooperation. So I want to tell everybody, I urge you all to look at this resolution and see how it really is different from most other resolutions I have found. And it's going to be on the agenda tomorrow evening. And so if you want to look it over, go on to the agenda, LafayetteLA.gov, go on to council agenda, look at the resolution. And if you think you can support it, then I would suggest you call your council member and urge them to support it too.
Thank you so much.
I have
Carol.
one request.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to ride along with a K-9 unit one time.
Absolutely. Love to have you.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh, I love it.
I want to be there too.
Okay. All right. Good deal.
We'll have some fun.
All right. Great. Look, Rob is looking at me like I'm good. Thank you all.
Not on my watch.
I just happen to be a dog lover. You know what I'm saying?
I know. These aren't the kind of dogs you pet, though, Carol.
Hey, Chief, thanks so much. Scott, thanks so much. Yes, we wish you best of luck. And thanks for thinking about the taxpayers on this one.
Sure. No, thank you. And thank you to all your listeners for their support.
Take care. All right. We'll be right back on the Ross Report. Don't go away.